Merry Christmas. I know it's weird, but let's talk about it. I really debated on whether or not to do some kind of a Christmas special, I guess, some kind of a Christmas show, because I know how awkward it is if you're newly waking up. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Wendy. I was a Jehovah's Witness for over 3 decades, and now I just make videos about that very topic and other topics, and we share stories. So I'm gonna just do this quick video because I think it's really important, because when I first woke up, Christmas was terrifying to me. And I'm pretty sure that if you're watching this, you can relate. So let's talk about the top 5 things I've learned, and I may do less or more than 5. I don't know. That's off the top of my head. This show is not scripted. Here's one of the challenges about Christmas, right? And listen, we're friends, so we can talk about this whole Christmas situation. It's weird. It's weird. And, I remember being a JW, and anywhere I went, if I would hear the Christmas songs, oh my God, God forbid you sing them or they get stuck in your head, you think there's something wrong with you. Oh my God, I remember that. But like, if you're just newly waking up and Christmas is a big challenge for you and you're feeling kind of about it, I'm just going to encourage you to pause for a minute, because there are plenty of people around the world who are not Jehovah's Witnesses or who never have been and still don't celebrate Christmas. When you're told something is wrong and it means you're imminent death, naturally, when you start doing those things, or even just the thought of doing those things, is going to trigger you a bit, right? We're all kind of triggered by this whole Christmas thing. I admit, when I first started waking up and I was looking at people's social media posts of their Christmas trees and their decorations, I was like, I will never go down that road. Like, I may not believe it anymore, but I am never, well, I've gone down that road and then some. My house looks like Macy's circa 1997 during the Christmas Day parade, and I absolutely love it. But I want to help you get to that point. So first of all, if you're not ready to celebrate Christmas, let it go. Just give yourself permission to just say, you know what, I'm gonna live vicariously through other people's lives. I'm not actually going to celebrate this year, but what I'm gonna do this year is I'm going to tiptoe in, and I'm going to just kind of chill a little bit, just kind of sit back and observe. First of all, when you've just lost your entire social structure and most likely your family, you don't really have anybody to celebrate with when you're coming out of the organization. So you're probably still in that phase. If this topic interests you, you may still be in that phase of, I'm still trying to, find a community. I don't even really have anybody to celebrate with. When I first started waking up, my friends were amazing. They invited me to a wrapping party, and it was weird. I didn't know a wrapping party was a thing, but it was, hey, come over, have a cocktail, and help us. It's a bunch of moms who got together and they wrapped their gifts together for their kids. And I thought, this is so cool. But I'm driving there by myself. I'm driving there and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? I don't even recognize myself, right? So I get to this wrapping party and I am enthralled and intrigued and terrified all at the same time. But these women really kind of rallied around me, and they helped me just kind of do whatever it is that I felt comfortable doing. So that's what I want to suggest to you. Find your people, even if it's just your kids, even if it's just your partner. If you don't have kids, find maybe one person, even if it's your dog. Just find your partner. The other crazy zany thing I did was I hung red curtains in my living room. I'll show you my scandal if you show me yours. But I felt like this was a big deal, right? I'm hanging red curtains in my living room, and then there was this little archway in my house at the time, and the entryway, and I hung garland over the entryway, thinking I am basically the devil's child right now for doing this. But it was little things. Also, where I started was I started a Pinterest board. And I said this on Instagram, if you start a Pinterest board, there's something about Pinterest that is very anonymous, and you feel like nobody can actually participate in the thoughts that are running through your head in Pinterest. I love Pinterest. It's one of my favorite apps when it comes to kind of cataloging my thoughts. So download Pinterest, create a Christmas board, and create it for the future. So most of my Pinterest boards are for the future. And when I look back, I think, oh, I created that board at 35 and I did none of those things. But what helps me, this is what I like to do for future reference. I tap into my next self. So if I were to do it right now, it would be Christmas 2023. That would include everything. That would include the decorations. That would include where I'm going to actually celebrate the holiday, whether it's with my family in another state or if it's here in my home. I'll give you an example. Last year, when I was going through my divorce, for those of you who don't know me, I was a stay-at-home mom for a very long time, and no education, no source of income, still lived in the family home at the time. And I thought, okay, Christmas 2022, I want to be in my own place with my own Christmas tree. I had no idea how it was going to happen. I didn't have a job. I was a stay-at-home mom for 11 years, so I had no education. I had no way to support myself. I this time last year, you guys, I had no idea what I was doing with my life. But I knew that I wanted to do something different. Even my mindset at that time was not the same mindset that I had right now. So I said, okay, so Christmas 2022, where do I want to be? I created a Pinterest board, Christmas 2022. I thought, all right, no matter what happens, I'm going to start working things in motion for those things to happen. This is also how I came to this conclusion about prayer and being in that religion. When you pray, things come to fruition. That's not actually accurate, right? When we pray, or when we did pray, we were kind of problem solving in our minds. We were putting things together. We were coming up with ideas, rationalizing, reasoning, thinking of solutions to problems that we have. And so what we do without realizing it is we work things in motion as we are manifesting those things that we want. So we say to ourselves, well, I prayed for this, so I better act in harmony with it. No, what you're doing is you put it out to the universe, you put it out there that that's what you want, and now you're putting things in motion to get what it is that you want, right? So what are the things that we prayed about? We prayed for gratitude, we prayed for sustenance and covering, we prayed for our needs to be met. We prayed for all those things. But what we were doing was our brain was cataloging all the things we were asking for. And then in working in harmony with that prayer, we did whatever we could to get those things that we asked for, because we thought in order to get what you want, you have to work in harmony with that prayer. Take prayer out of the equation, that is still true. To get what we want, we have to kind of be mindful about this, right? We have to be present. We have to act in harmony with what we're looking for. We don't focus on what we don't want, right? If you want a new relationship, you don't say, well, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this. You focus on what you do want. So I knew that come Christmas 2022, I knew that I wanted my own place and I wanted my own Christmas tree. And wouldn't you know it, I set up that Christmas tree November 1st. I'm kind of Christmas out and it's not even here yet, but it was so amazing to finally watch that happen. And I didn't know how, you guys, I didn't know why, I didn't know what road I was going to take. I just knew that that was the one thing I wanted. So for you, take one thing that you want to do next year or the year after and make that thing happen. When I tell you I tiptoed into holidays, I am not kidding. I got my kids 1 or 2 gifts and I explained to them, listen, I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing. So just be patient with me. And that was 2 Christmases ago was my first one. I want to encourage you to not feel pressured to keep up with people, right? And I know that that's always been the thing. That's if you're watching this in America, it's always you got to keep up with the Joneses. No, you don't. We're programmed to think that we do. But when we leave the organization, we want to now catch up with the Joneses. Don't pressure yourself to catch up with the rest of the world, because the rest of the world has like decades and generations worth of memories and tradition and nostalgia when it comes to holidays. And we don't have those things when we leave the organization, right? So what are we going to do? How are we going to start this? Because everybody else is doing it. And if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Right? That's the beauty of it. Nobody's telling you have to. The other thing I do for Christmas, I buy all my decorations that are beautiful year round. So that's how I save money. That's how I'm able to be a little bit more creative. I don't like the kind of decorations that are strictly for Christmas. So what you can do is after this holiday, if you're not celebrating this year, after this holiday, go and buy stuff that's on sale, right? That makes sense. That's when we buy our Halloween costumes, is when everything goes on sale. But after Christmas is over, go and start looking for Christmas decorations and prepare for next year. The littlest things are gonna help you tiptoe into the biggest version of yourself, the biggest and best version of yourself that you want to be. So that's what I did. So I went into Home Goods. Can we just take a moment of silence for Home Goods? Okay, thank you. So I went into Home Goods after Christmas was over and I simply got stuff that was super cheap and on sale. And remember, I was going through a divorce with no job and I had no idea what I was going to do. Still don't know what I'm going to do with my life, but this is the reality of being a single mom, wanting to give your kids Christmas when no one else in your life, with the exception of my father and my stepmother, celebrates the holidays and they don't even live in my state. So I thought, okay, well, listen, this is just on me to give my kids new traditions. My next tip, we need to focus more on the family that we want to create and not so much the family that we came from. Because the family that we came from, we're not in that family anymore. it's a hard reality. And yes, majority of us are being shunned from the people that we thought knew and loved us. Turned out my family doesn't know me at all. Maybe yours doesn't either, but that's also normal. That's not just a JW thing, right? Many people are coming out of the woodwork about how their families don't actually know them, but just because you're born into this family doesn't mean they even have an obligation to get to know you. So don't worry about that. Focus more on the family that you're creating. Focus more on your traditions. Focus more on the nostalgia you want your kids to have when they're older. Now, honestly, I know that this probably doesn't apply to those of you who are in the audience and your grown kids are in the organization and you've woken up. My heart bleeds for you. I know who you are. I can't imagine what that's like, but you too can still create your own traditions. I can't speak to that because that's not my circumstance, but just know I don't want you to feel excluded from this conversation as well. And I know that you too can create your own traditions. My next tip is be open to people who want to love you. So I moved into this adorable little duplex, and I am a big believer in duplexes. It's just like, it's a big house, but it's two separate homes. Love it. My next door neighbor is another single mom. Now we're kind of decorating our houses to look like one big house. And we're both just very open to helping and supporting each other. So be open to talk to people about how to go about this. I have literally asked my non-JW friends, hey, so can you tell me about Christmas? Birthdays were fun. When my son turned 11 in July, I threw him a party, and I remember thinking to myself, my God, all these moms outdo each other, right? They outdo the year before. Take that pressure off of yourself. Just because last Christmas I gave you my heart, just because last Christmas was one way, it doesn't mean you have to outdo this year. That was my thought. Like, okay, well, if I provide this for my kids last year, it's just, don't get caught up in that whole mental gymnastics. You don't have to do anything. And another tip is that really it's just about having a new experience. One of the things I realized I had to do before I got into holidays was to kind of relieve myself of the guilt and shame centered around holidays. So once you realize that it's not wrong and it's not bad, you actually do feel very free to kind of do whatever you want and to kind of navigate your way through it. And also, don't let anybody tell you what's right and wrong for your family. It's your family, it's your traditions, it's your future with your kids that you are setting up for them. And nobody has the right to tell you yes or no. One of the traditions I started with my son is this elf on the shelf thing. You guys, I had no idea that this was going to be a big deal to him, but it is. And now this elf is like fun for all of us. And I have a feeling that tradition is going to stay with us. The other thing is, full disclosure, I don't like any of the food that comes with Christmas dinner. Okay. I don't like ham. I don't eat meat. I don't like any of the food that comes with Christmas dinner. So I'm over here like, my kids don't eat it. I don't eat it. What the hell is the point? So last year when I spent time with my dad and my stepmom, we had my stepmother, she's this Italian Hungarian love, and she made this huge spaghetti dinner with homemade meatballs and homemade sauce. And I said, you know what? That's going to be Christmas dinner. So this year when they're coming down to Florida from New Jersey to see us, and I thought, you know what, that's going to be the Christmas tradition. We're going to do Christmas spaghetti and meatballs because that takes the pressure off of it. I don't know. I just think coming from a background of nothing but supposed to be isms and have to do isms, I think that this is probably one of the most freeing aspects is that, I mean, yeah, we're totally going to have Christmas spaghetti and meatballs. And what of it, right? So just kind of see the humor in it. And if you're new to this whole experience, just tiptoe in. And if you're not even ready, turn this video off and watch it when you are ready. Just really try and enjoy life. And one of the things that I feel so bad about is that I missed out on the magic of Santa Claus with my kids. And I remember as a JW, I would say things like, you lie to your kids about Santa Claus. Why am I not supposed to teach my kids about God? And I'm thinking, you know what? That logic actually still holds up because, I mean, you teach your kids about some imaginary being in the sky, and now I teach my kids about some imaginary elf. It's all magic, all of it. It's all make-believe, right? So I do feel bad that my kids kind of didn't get the magic aspect of Christmas, but that, it's fine. We're just going to create new traditions and we're going to create our own magic. And I know one day when my kids are older, maybe they'll end up in therapy talking about my mom would make spaghetti for Christmas instead of Christmas dinner. Okay, anyway, I'm going to go. I want to thank you so much for watching, sharing, and subscribing to this video. Share this if you know an XJW who is struggling with holidays. It can be really kind of stressful and awkward and uncomfortable, but it doesn't have to be. Step 1, it's not wrong. Okay, you're going to be all right. Step 2, tiptoe in, get a Pinterest board, have fun with it. Step 3, set future goals. And this is not just a Christmas thing. This goes beyond Christmas. This time next year, I want this, even if it's something small. Step 4, be open to letting people love and teach you. Be open to it. You don't know? So ask someone who does. Step 5, have fun with it and don't worry about keeping up with other people. Don't worry about catching up so much. Those are my top 5 tips. And I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. And thank you so much. And Merry Christmas. And we'll see you in 2023.